Welcome, everyone. Today, in this episode, I wanted to share with you a presentation that I had recently shared. It was a service-oriented company that supports the food and beverage industry. And they asked me to put together a presentation that was really going to be more forward-thinking in terms of how they should be thinking about their digital marketing. Now, I wanted to share with you some things about this particular presentation. I'm going to go through it. Yes, it is geared to the food and beverage industry, but I don't want you to necessarily look at it in that way. What you should take away is sort of, in a way, replace whatever business that you have with those examples that I'm going to provide here. The point is, you should have a more current way of looking at your brand and how you are able to get your point across online. And I'm going to get into all the new ways that search is happening, digital marketing in general, more broadly. I will also talk about the difference of the way that search engine optimization has changed. What you really need to understand is that what worked last year, 2024, and the prior years may not absolutely work at all this year in future years. And if you really should ask this question, how many do you feel overwhelmed by the idea of marketing your business online? And I'm sure many of you are thinking that way, especially those of you who I have had conversations with think that marketing is just a thing that occurs to get to build brand awareness. Really, what you should understand at a very basic level, and I'll go into the definitions here, is that marketing your business is something you should be doing on an everyday basis. Understanding who it is that you speak to, your audience, who is your prospective clients and customers, what are their challenges, through the messaging and through all of the ways in which you go online to show who you are and how you help them. That's basically what marketing is. So let's really define digital marketing. I'm also going to use something called omni-channel marketing. I know not a lot of people use it, but I'm using it. I'm going to share with you what that is because I want you to be smarter about the way you think about marketing. You don't need to be a CMO or a marketing expert. So very simply, what is digital marketing? Using the internet and digital tools, websites, social media, including email, and online ads to connect with customers, build your brand, and drive sales. That's it. It doesn't get more simple than that. It's about being where your customers are online, sharing the right message, and inspiring some kind of an action, whether it is to request a quote or book an appointment, but it is always precedes with sharing the right message. Now, what is omnichannel marketing? And I talked about omnichannel marketing, and I think in retrospect, it was really the way in which you're trying to attract new clients can't be thought of by one platform or one search engine. It's not just Google, or it's not just paid search, or it's not just LinkedIn. It's all of these platforms. It's reaching customers across a variety of platforms, social media, email, your website, in your store, with a consistent connected message for a seamless brand experience. Why should you care? This is one of my favorite images, is because first of all, I mentioned that to this audience in the food industry. And if you're interested, you can go to Statistica. They have stats on just about every other industry there is. This just happened to be on the food market industry, that 8.6% of total revenue will be generated through online sales by 2025. I would challenge you, if this is not your industry, look into what that might be, and it might likely even be much greater than that. Search engine marketing is the most popular form of marketing, not just the food industry, but I would bet in your industry, whatever that industry is as well. We no longer only search with Google. So if you look at this image, 1998 to 2024, predominantly your traffic, people found out about you and your brand through Google search. Now, they're finding out about you in Google search, yes, but also ChatGPT, which is connected to the internet, and the search is fueled by Bing, YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, all of these ways, and I didn't even Pinterest. I mean, the list goes on. People are searching and finding about your brand or your competitors through these means. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about omni-channel marketing, but try not to get wrapped around the phrase omni-channel. I want you to focus more on being on a variety of other platforms and how marketing will drive consistent customers. I'm going to talk about the latest changes in search marketing, AI, and LLMs. And I'm going to provide for you a simple framework for building an audience geared specifically to your brand without the need to hire an agency. And if you stick with me at the end, I do have a free resource that I will be sharing with you, and that's going to be coming up at the end. First, very briefly, if you don't know who I am Janet Bartoli. I have been deeply specialized in search marketing for the last 20 years, and I've had the pleasure of working with brands like StubHub, Fiat, Bank of Montreal, Verizon, the list goes on. I have been a speaker on the topic of digital marketing, search engine optimization through a variety of other different places, UCLA, Caesars Palace, International Search Summit. I have authored a variety of different point of view documents, and one especially, I developed a technical SEO playbook for Procter & Gamble and StubHub. So I know a few things about this topic. Today, we're going to be talking more specifically about the changing landscape of search marketing because, again, I think it's important that you understand things have changed. I know that you know this, but I'm going to go into them even further, more specifically. I'm focusing on e-commerce as I was talking to food brands and beverage brands because predominantly trying to sell their product. So you have to think if they're selling a product, whether it's from an online store, their website, you have to think in terms of e-commerce. But again, it's changing no matter whether you're a B2B, you're a service-based company, it is changing. So this is just a simple way. Obviously with AI and LLMs, the way that you can go through ChatGPT, which as I mentioned is powered by Bing, you can go into just Google and you'll even see now as compared to just a few years ago, Google is really trying to dominate the space when it comes to making itself appear more like an Amazon storefront. This is where you really need to start thinking more specifically about how to personalize your product recommendations and optimize those recommendations or those product descriptions found in more other ways, whether it is an LLM large language model that is Perplexity or ChatGPT or Gemini or any number of LLMs that are out there where you're asking, in this situation I was asking about what are the best foods to eat, what should I feed my toddler, there's these kinds of questions, and it will pull up some variation of results. So again, it's pulling it up from content that's on the web. And so if you don't have really good content out there, this should be your number one takeaway. You need to change where and how AI is used to search. So think through when, again, I'm using this example, when looking at various search and AI tools, the search was gluten-free food brands. So you've got Pinterest. I can see that U.com is coming up. ChatGPT, of course, anybody that is searching for gluten-free food brands, this is what they're using, these discovery engines. And some of them you may not be familiar with at all. And so it's important that you understand that the way people are searching and the way people are researching and looking for brands like yours is changing. And so you've got to adapt and change with that. There's lots of brand discovery opportunities. Again, whether it's Perplexity or some of the others, online, ChatGPT or Claude or any of the others out there, you've got to really start thinking through what is the brand perception on these platforms. You can really start thinking through how to better optimize and put your brand out there. And I would even challenge you, and I've done this in a previous, I think it was a LinkedIn post, where if you just go to Perplexity or ChatGPT, ask about what do you know about, you can put your name, you can put your brand name, and list out 5 topics that this person or this brand is expert in, and you'll be pretty surprised. Hopefully it all comes out where you can see a variety of really good relevant information. If not, you do have work to do. Content overhaul is one way you can really look at that. If you don't have a great brand perception when you are on any of these LLMs or in Google and you're trying to figure out what it really knows about your brand, you can really start thinking through by creating, and I've said this so many times, but the most helpful, useful, relevant, best content. This is a great way to do your research. So forget any SEO tools that you might be familiar with, Ahrefs, SEMrush, forget those. It doesn't matter what the keyword volume, search volume is. What you need to understand is what are your audience actually looking for? if you know some of the questions they ask, or if you know some of the ways that they're describing what it is you do or your product, put that into Google and let Google tell you what it thinks makes the most relevant sense. Then your job, as I did here, is to understand why that first organic result below the AI overview. It'll be interesting to see how that tests out, but do most people skip that AI overview and just go right to the first organic result? Because the search query here was, what should I feed my picky 1-year-old? And here's some foods you can feed a picky 1-year-old. I don't like that answer, so I like the first one, which was titled Picky Eater Problems, Where to Find What to Feed a Picky Toddler. And then I put what they did was they had basically a table of contents of really good, smart, obviously experienced information about somebody who's dealt with picky 1-year-olds. So think about the content, think about and use Google to really help and show what's actually being shown. And if this is something you might be competing with, then you might think, how can I make better content than what is there? What in those table of contents can I add to that to make it an even better piece of content? That should be your goal, not just putting out more stuff out there. Because we do have plenty of stuff on the internet. Visual search integration. So again, I'm thinking through specifically with a food and beverage brand. But if you do have a product, if you're B2C and you do have a specific product that you are trying to promote, think about how that you can now just take a picture and throw it into Google Lens, or Bing also has a similar feature. Certainly ChatGPT can understand and determine what is that product and give you some information about that product. This is what people are doing. So I use the example here that if you were with a friend and they had a snack that their toddler loved, and you just took a picture of it and then popped it into Google Lens to give you more information about it, what you could do is learn about all the other products brand offers. So think about how your business can maybe leverage some idea that way. Takeaway in this section is, by optimizing content and understanding AI-powered search trends, even your small brand can compete with much larger players in the market with a smaller team and more flexibility. So it's just a matter of having a more forward-thinking way of seeing how the internet is presenting your brand or other brands like it. Now I'm going to talk about why omnichannel marketing is just a non-negotiable. It's just something that you have to tear yourself away from thinking this is only for bigger brands, because you have to think about your customer's journey. So I'm using this as a food brand, but again, put your service or product here and you can kind of understand. You might have a potential customer that sees an influencer on Instagram and they're raving about the snacks, and then they click the link to the influencer's bio, they visit the website, they place their first order, and they get a confirmation email. Then they get an email inviting them to join their loyalty program, and a month later, they get a targeted ad, an email promoting a limited time. Let's say it's a holiday snack box or something. So this is just our simplified journey of a potential customer that your customer might take. Now it's your job. This is end-to-end or omni-channel, multiple different platforms. How do we get your brand across in all these others? This was really just talking about Instagram, email, and an ad. So now that's a pretty short, succinct type of a buyer journey, but you can really imagine incorporating other platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or any of the other platforms out there, how you connect them all up to get your brand messaging across and to constantly be in front of that customer. So there's benefits to reaching, of course, a wider audience. Here, as I'm kind of going through, as I mentioned to you before, that last slide was just showing such a simplified version, but we're not talking, like all the social media, your website, which should not go unnoticed and should not be ignored. You should be absolutely incorporating your website into that digital marketing strategy. Email marketing, for sure, gets overlooked and is underutilized, but a great way to wake up old customers and offer something new. Online advertiser, influencer marketing, having a presence on Amazon, any loyalty programs, and community building. I mean, the list goes on and on. Hopefully, this is giving you some ideas in terms of what it is you should be doing. Now, you might say, okay, there's a lot of challenges with that. I don't have that much time, and there's a lot of platforms that I have to manage, and so I wanted to provide a solution for that. Right now, just focus on, I would even say this, if 2 or 3 is a lot, just 1 or 2 high impact channels where your audience is most active. So if you are a battery manufacturer and your audience is mostly on GitHub or in Quora, probably don't bother with Instagram or Facebook. But you really you should have some sort of an analysis done to understand exactly where they are. And maybe they're not using Google as much as they used to. So really consider who they are and really where they are. So as an example, you could use Instagram for visual storytelling, email marketing for repeat sales, employ time-saving tools. Look to whether it's your favorite AI tool, and no doubt Hootsuite and Buffer both have AI incorporated within these tools, but they can also help schedule posts ahead of time. You can even, with the help of AI, optimize them, make them more concise, and gear the messaging to your ideal customer. Limited budget for content creation. So here's another one we hear over and over again is, I don't have that much money to create all this content. Solution, leverage AI tools, and I know you've heard this one beat to death, but it will really use it for brainstorming content ideation. Use yourself as hopefully your own subject matter expert or somebody in your team, but don't use AI to replace your own genius. Use it as to support and help make your messaging more customized to your target audience. You can use things like Canva, capture user-generated content, another really great way. If you're encouraging your customers to tag your brand, reshare posts, here's an easy time-saving, cost-cutting way of getting your message out there. Host a giveaway or collaborate with some micro-influencers. So maybe those micro-influencers don't have millions of followers, but they are maybe in a smaller niche and they're very engaged, the audiences that they do have. So taking advantage of that. And then challenge number 3, I have a difficulty maintaining consistency across channels because, by the way, consistency is key to getting your message across. So here's a solution. Create a content calendar that aligns with your messaging and themes. So if you go back to the previous where you are working with whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini to come up with a list of, let's say, 10 content ideas, and out of those content ideas, maybe 3 or 4 of them are videos, and maybe you've got a few podcast episodes in there and some blog posts. You can take all of that and then, again, with the help of ChatGPT, let's say, hey, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take these ideas. I want some portion of those to be a YouTube video, some portion of those to be in my email, my weekly newsletter. Some amount of those, I want them to be turned into a podcast episode. You get the idea. Create that and then say, help me create a calendar over the next 30 days that I could distribute this content using Trello or Notion to help organize all of that. And if you have a team, who can you delegate the specific tasks to? Consider using Zapier. Zapier is not that complicated. There's a ton of YouTube videos showing you exactly how to use it. It's a great way to integrate one platform to another. So the takeaway in this section is, with the benefit of smart tech stack, which you should have, then you should be utilizing your limited time to effectively leverage omnichannel marketing. You want to work on multiple platforms in a strategic and efficient way as you possibly can. Now, the next one I want to talk to you about is the framework for building customers without the need for an agency. So here's a basic general framework that I would share with you. Number 1 and step 1 is knowing your audience. You can't do anything until you first understand who they are exactly. And I mean more than just sort of the demographics, but getting into the psychographics, the understanding of what questions do they have, what platforms are they on, where are they, what Reddit forums are they involved in, and what maybe business-related sort of questions are they asking there. So really understanding your audience. And I'm going to get into the details of this. Optimize for search. And I'm talking your Google Business Profile, which I know many of you are completely ignoring, but you should not. Just because you're not a local nail salon does not mean you should not have a fully functioning Google Business Profile. So getting reviews in there and creating frequently asked questions, great way to get those people to feel more comfortable with your brand and convert over. Build your brand across the key channels. As I said, prioritize 1 or 2 platforms to start with. They should resonate with your audience. Use AI tools to really help automate those repetitive tasks. And do not forget to measure and adjust. You cannot effectively change things out or pivot or do anything if you don't know whether you're growing and it's actually working or not. So whether you're using Google Analytics or some other analytics within whatever platform that it is that you're using, you should be focused on key performance indicators, not just the traffic, but where is that traffic coming from to your website? Now, nothing could make any sense here unless I didn't talk about a formal digital marketing plan and the reason why this is essential. And again, it does not require 6 figures and a staff of 20 to come up with. This is really why most brands struggle. And even those Fortune 500 brands that I told you that I've worked with, they lacked a clear strategic plan, or they had this over-reliance on one platform, or they were on all the platforms, but they had no cohesive message and they had a siloed marketing team. So how can a digital marketing plan actually solve for this? You need a digital marketing plan because it will provide you a clear direction and clarity around the purpose of your marketing efforts. You can't have marketing just for marketing's sake, because probably one of the number 1, 2, or 3 questions about digital marketing is, how do I get an ROI? You can't get an ROI unless you have a plan. Put the plan in place, have key performance indicators or metrics that you need to see in order to see it succeed, and now you can have a better idea as to whether this is actually working. It will also, by having a digital marketing plan, you can reach more targeted prospective customers more often. And you will achieve growth at a much more consistent rate. The problem is many people quit after they try for the first 3 or 4 or 6 weeks, and they don't see it really working really well. They just give up. So what I do is I offer a digital marketing assessment. It's a comprehensive audience analysis and a competitive analysis. It provides a thorough website review looking at your user experience. Yes, some of the SEO features and components, but also how is your brand actually appearing online in all of these platforms? How do you stack up against your biggest competitors? And what is the 6-month roadmap that you should have in place? So all the digital marketing assessment, it doesn't just help food brands, but it can help your brand as well. It provides you a clear roadmap. It identifies untapped opportunities. It streamlines efforts by saving you lots of time and lots of money. And it leverages your own data. So key takeaway here is eliminate guesswork. Get a personalized, actionable plan, and by having one done, if you have our team do it, it is literally like having a trusted marketing partner without the high cost of hiring an agency. So just a quick recap. We talked about the impact of search that has, certainly AI has incorporated itself into search. Why omnichannel marketing is a critical component to the consistent growth of your business. Framework used to attract customers without the need for an agency. Now, free thing number 1, I want to offer you a free 30-minute discussion. If you think it makes sense, there will be a link in the description below where you can set up a 20, 30-minute conversation with me, and we could discuss whether a digital marketing assessment or market report on your industry specifically could make sense. And the next thing is a free digital marketing automation checklist. If you go to bartoliconsulting.com/checklist, you get a free copy of our digital marketing automation checklist. This is going to be a big thing that you're going to need to be really concerned yourself with in the next year. With all the software, with AI, there is a way to leverage all of this to your advantage. And so get that checklist, and that should really help you in the right way. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to find me over on LinkedIn. I am there every single day, or you can go to bartoliconsulting.com and email me directly. So that's what I've got for you today. Once again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video.